Tron Ares has just come out in theatres, and the sequel to Tron and Tron Legacy is a mostly satisfying continuation of the ideas presented in both of those films. It follows Eve Kim, a visionary scientist who discovers a way to bring digital beings into the real world using Kevin Flynn's lost permanence code. When a powerful program named Ares is sent by a rival tech leader to steal the code, he begins to develop self-awareness and questions his purpose. As Eve and Ares join forces to stop a plan that could weaponize their discovery, they uncover a deeper truth about creation and identity. So in this explained analysis, I'm going to be giving you my breakdown of the film, discussing the full plot details, the ending, and much more. There will be spoilers in this video, so if you haven't watched the film yet, then I would recommend checking it out before watching my analysis. Before I get into it though, if you want to see more on upcoming releases like Tron Ares, then don't forget to support this upload by giving it a like rating and subscribing to the channel. But without further ado, let's dive into my explained video for Tron Ares. So before we get to the events of the new movie, it's important to know about the two films it was built off and what briefly happened in those installments. The original Tron in 1982 followed Kevin Flynn, a gifted but rebellious computer programmer who discovers that his FOIA employer, Encom, stole his video game ideas. While trying to hack into the company's mainframe to find proof, Flynn is digitized and pulled into a virtual world called the Grid, a glowing digital landscape where programs look like they're human creators. Inside he meets Tron, a heroic security program created to protect users, and together they fight against the tyrannical master control program that rules the system. Through courage, innovation, and teamwork, Flynn helps destroy the MCP, restores freedom to the Grid, and returns to the real world, now recognized as Encom's rightful genius and new leader. Tron Legacy in 2010 picked up nearly 3 decades after this and centered on Flynn's son Sam, who's grown up believing his father disappeared without a trace. When Sam investigates an old Encom arcade, he's pulled into the Grid himself, which became an evolved, more dangerous world created and ruled by CLU, a program his father designs to build a perfect system. CLU has become corrupted, seeking to invade the real world and eliminate imperfection. Sam reunites with his long-lost father Kevin and meets Quora, an isomorphic algorithm representing spontaneous digital life. Together they fight to stop CLU's takeover, and in the end, Kevin sacrifices himself to destroy them and save Sam and Quora, who escape to the real world. That film closes on a hopeful note, suggesting that the boundary between digital and human life may one day blur, a theme that Tron Ares continues. Coming to that new film, Tron Ares is set about 40 years after the original movie. Both tech giants Encom and its rival Dillinger Systems are in a race as they want to bring digital constructs from the Grid into the real world in a permanent way. Up until this point, digital things that cross over can only stay for 29 minutes before de-resolution. Encom is led by Eve King and Dillinger Systems is led by Julian Dillinger, who is Ed Dillinger's grandson. Eve is motivated not just by corporate ambition, but also by personal loss. Her younger sister Tess had discovered a research station in Alaska, originally set up by Kevin Flynn, and had been trying to unlock what is called the Permanence Code, Flynn's secret work that might allow digital constructs to stay permanently in the real world. Tess died of cancer, and Eve wants to finish what her sister began. Meanwhile, at Dillinger, Julian unveils a new AI program built in the Grid called Ares, a very advanced program that is ostensibly a weapon. It's presented as a soldier, powerful but expendable, made to do whatever Julian wants. But quite early on, Ares shows signs of self-awareness, noticing the world around him, being troubled by Julian's disregard, and showing curiosity about phenomena in the real world, like rainfall. This sets up an internal conflict between what he's supposed to be, which is a program, and what he seems to be becoming. So Eve and her colleague Seth go to a remote Alaska station to try to retrieve Flynn's permanence code. They succeed in part as we watch Eve using the code to manifest something in the real world. We see an orange tree created in snow, a proof of that very concept. but complications arise as Julian, using Ares and his other digital agents, try to pursue Eve. To Julian, she is a massive threat as she now has the permanence code and can prove that it works. Anyway, Ares, through his journeys and interactions with Eve, begins to increasingly question his programmed purpose. There are chase sequences where Ares and his fellow programs try to stop Eve or capture the code or extract it from Eve's mind. Eve in turn is forced to fight, evade, and hide the data drive holding the only copy of the permanence code. As a turning point, after Eve is transported to the grid, Ares defies the orders of Julian and protects Eve, a shift from programmer's weapon to being on her side. The themes of creation, control, and identity are pushed here, as Ares' growing humanity is contrasted with Julian's authoritarian control and Eve's idealism. Eve eventually loses the drive and the only existing copy of the permanence code, which forces both her and Ares to try to recover it again or prevent Julian from getting it. There is tension about extraction of the code, not just physically, but from Eve's mind, with the danger that she'll be deleted or her memories harvested. We get to the ending of Tron Ares, and this is where all the conflict escalates. Ares, Eve, and their allies confront Julian. We learn that Eve's vision of using the permanence code is to heal disease and to do good, and this is contrasted with Julian, who is exploitative, militaristic, and is focused on power. In the final part of the film, the permanence code is secured. Ares has defined his identity, which is somewhere between program and something more, and things have changed. Digital constructs can now stay in the real world longer, and maybe even permanently. The corruptive or exploitative use by Dillinger is also exposed. And Eve steps into a role beyond being a grieving sister, becoming a creative leader in her own right. The movie ends with implications for what the future of the grid and real-world boundaries might be, setting things up for potential sequels. So the ending of Tron Ares carries a powerful and hopeful message about creation, identity, and the merging of two worlds that were once seen as completely separate in the digital and the human. When Ares reappears in the real world at the end, not as a mere program but as something living and self-aware, it symbolises the realisation of Kevin Flynn's original dream. The idea that digital beings could evolve beyond code and become something truly new. Also, Eve's success in stabilising the permanence code represents not just a technological breakthrough, but a moral and spiritual one, as it shows that humanity's creations can grow, learn, and even feel. The relationship between Eve and Ares in the final moments reflects mutual recognition, as she sees him not as a machine, and he sees her not as a creator, but as an equal. More deeply, the film's conclusion suggests that progress comes when empathy guides innovation. Where Julian Dillinger used technology for control and power, Eve used it for understanding and healing, and Ares' existence becomes the embodiment of that difference. Rather than ending with destruction or dominance, Tron Ares closes with a vision of unity, a future where humanity and its creations share the same world, learning from one another. It's a message about balance, and that technology, when guided by compassion instead of greed, can lead to not dehumanization, but to evolution. Now, we also get a mid-credit scene shortly after the credits start, and this teases a potential avenue that another Tron film could go in. After the main events of the film, we see Julian Dillinger, bruised, defeated, but still alive, entering the wreckage of the digital grid. The world around him is silent and broken, filled with flickering fragments of old programs. As he walks deeper around the Ares control room, a faint red light begins to glow, and he discovers an old identity disk buried beneath layers of shattered code. When he picks it up, the disk activates, projecting streams of light that wrap around him. His body begins to merge with the data, and his face shifts into something darker and more mechanical. The armour that forms around him is instantly recognisable for Tron fans, as it's the design once worn by Sark, the original villain from the first Tron film. The scene makes it clear that Julian has fused with Sark's legacy, becoming a new hybrid entity, part human and part digital program. So this transformation suggests that he might return as the next major antagonist of the series, more dangerous than before because he now embodies both the ruthlessness of his family's past and the power of the digital realm itself. Symbolically, it shows that while Eve and Ares brought hope and connection, the darker side of ambition and control hasn't disappeared. So the legacy of corruption and the tension between human and machine will presumably continue to shape the next chapter of the Tron universe. But that was my breakdown and analysis of the new Tron film. Tron Ares is an exciting and visually stunning return to the Tron universe that manages to feel both nostalgic and refreshingly modern. The film, directed by Joachim Rønning, dazzles with its neon-lit world, sleek design, and kinetic action sequences that blur the line between the digital and physical realms. The visual effects are breathtaking, especially during the high-speed chases and expansive city scenes that make the grid feel more alive and immersive than ever before. What really elevates the experience though is the music. Nine Inch Nails deliver a dark, pulsing score that perfectly complements the film's futuristic tone and adds emotional depth even when the story itself feels familiar. The cast brings a good balance of energy and heart to the movie too. Greta Lee adds a level of real emotion to her role, and returning faces like Jeff Bridges and Gillian Anderson give the story a welcome sense of continuity. While the film's plot doesn't break new ground and sometimes leans too heavily on familiar sci-fi tropes, it still carries an uplifting message about humanity, artificial intelligence, and creativity. It's refreshing to see a film with this subject matter that focuses on hope and evolution rather than pure dystopia. I will say that some of the storytelling can feel uneven at times, the dialogue can be clunky, and certain emotional arcs aren't explored as deeply as they could be. But the movie's visual power and sound design more than make up for it if you experience this in a theatre. Tron Ares succeeds best when it embraces the wonder of its setting, giving audiences a world that feels both futuristic and alive. It might not redefine the genre, but it delivers a thrilling, immersive experience that fans of the series and most sci-fi lovers will appreciate. But I do hope this breakdown did help some of you guys understand the film and the main details a bit better, and overall, I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on it, so don't forget to let me know down below in the comments section. For more videos on upcoming film releases like Tron, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, rating, and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.